My name is Bill Franke, and while I'm retired from the military, I retired with a rank of Lieutenant JG, and then a few years later I got notification I'd actually made lieutenant. Costive 13, which was where we were patrolling the rivers and canals. Generally they were wider rivers, because the strategy was that while they may try to transport down a narrow canal, it did them no good unless they got out into the river as well to go from point A to point B. They had to transit via one of the major rivers. And that's called the Mekong Delta, the Mekong River. There were actually 3 rivers in the Mekong Delta that we would concentrate on. So there it was relatively wide. Really, the only real navigational hazards we had there were sandbars and things such as that. But it was entirely different in Antoi. In Antoi, it was not at all uncommon. Whenever you'd go up a canal, and it'd be a windy canal, and you'd go up at a high speed, and the reason why you'd go up at high speed was because you didn't want to have anybody, shoot you. And and if we would be in a canal that may be 20 feet across, maybe 22, 24 feet, but in that range. It'd be so narrow that we'd have to drive up the bows of our boats into the one bank and then go forward on the downstream engine or go back down on the downstream engine and go forward in the upstream engine to swing around and turn around and go back out. So we had to pivot with our boat rested up into the bank, which, by the way, was very dangerous, because if anybody decided to take a shot at you at that particular time, with that your water line was exposed because it was driven up into the bank. All they had to do was rake that water line, and we would have been dead in the water, because we would have been taking water through the bow of the boat. But at any rate, when we would go up those canals, one of the things I always thought was, it was spectacular and it was exciting, was we'd be going up there, and a swift boat will make about 32 knots or thereabouts, and at that speed you're going to have a wake of about 4.5 feet. So you got 12 boats going up that river, and each one of those is shooting out a wake of 4.5 feet, and that's coming over to the sides, to the banks, shooting water up into the air. There's water that would shoot up into the air sometimes 10, 15 feet from that. And then it would ricochet back in there, and it was like in the roughest seas you could imagine, if you were one of the boats that was toward the end of the mission. And it took a skilled bosun's mate to handle that passage. And the only way you could do it successfully was to keep within the wake of the boat in front of you. And so we would come up there and we'd have a very tight formation, and we'd keep within the wake of the boat in front of us to make damn sure that we weren't hitting that heavy, chop. And what would happen though is that we would come around a turn, and if the guy in the helmsman didn't turn at the same pace, if he would ride over into the wake, that wake would carry him into the bank. And it was not at all uncommon, and I saw it probably 15 times, where one of our boats would get carried over to the bank, and the screws would actually dig into the dirt on the bank and shoot water up or shoot dirt up into the sky. And of course that would kick that boat back out, and then he'd get back into formation. But it was treacherous. It took a skilled helmsman to do that.